People, deluded. I'm back again. Thank you very much for jumping in each and every time, people. It means a lot that we're all here. Welcome back. Obviously, let's address the elephant in the room. Curtis is in the comments, but Curtis isn't here at the moment. He'll be here in a second. Now, he's dealing with some technical difficulties. And speaking of the man of the moment, he's here. I just wanted to start on time because you lot always say I'm late, and it's not my fault for once. But the light-skinned Cameron Jerome is in the building. He's saying,
I'll log out, I'm telling you.
I have to, man. I have to get you back for your intros on my channel, man. I've been there away games. They're at home now.
Yeah, man, for real. It's your time, innit? You can do what you want with all the crowd behind you.
Trust me, the top man in that, man. This thing come like Anfield previously in that, man. Undefeated in that. You saying though?
No, big up, bro. Apologies for being late. My microphone, the wire was going on mad. I thought, I can't come in with that mad sound. But yeah, I'm happy to be here, bro. Pleasure as always.
Thanks for coming back in each and every time, Curtis. And minor, man, like I said, I told the people them it's technical difficulties. Before we actually get into the Arsenal stuff, as usual, smash the like button, people. Big up Curtis for getting in the comments. But I want to ask you something that is indirectly Arsenal related. The man in the back of your green screen, Thierry Henry, he's linked with Bournemouth, man. We got to talk about that. What do you think of him, championship manager, Jack Wilshere there, getting the lads back?
Bro, I'm gassed. I don't even know why. I'm just gassed.
Must be just excited, isn't it?
Thierry's around the corner. He's going to be managing Jack Wilshere. Like, I've still got this fairy tale in my head that he goes to Bournemouth, gets them promoted, and maybe he comes home in 2 or 3 years. You never know, innit? But no, I'm gassed, bro. I love that. I hope he takes that job. I just hope if he takes it, he gets a solid coaching staff around him, because the championship, bro, it ain't no joke. It's one of the most difficult leagues, and it's cool that you're Thierry Henry and all that, but you need to understand how to get out of that division. So I just hope he brings in people with the know-how around him. And listen, I think every Arsenal fan will be a Bournemouth fan in the championship. So no, I love it, man. I really hope he gets the job. I think people wrote him off after Monaco. He had a bad time at Monaco, and obviously he's gone to the MLS.
What do you think of him as a manager in that regards then? Because obviously, like you said, Monaco, another returning home of him of sorts. It didn't really happen for him. I'm sure you've seen all the clips of him being very harsh on the players over there in America. Do you think? What do you make of him as a manager? Because it could be another case of a world-class player, a shaky gaffer. It's not looking good for Pirlo. Roy Keane wasn't exactly a great gaffer, with all due respect. What do you make of Henry as the gaffer himself, though?
Yeah, I mean, it's happened a lot of times, hasn't it? Alan Shearer, man, Newcastle probably best player. He gets them relegated. So I think with Henry, when you're such a good footballer, it's probably hard to be a manager because your own level was so high. When you see man making basic mistakes, you're probably thinking, what's going on? Yeah, and there was rumours coming out of Monaco that he was squaring up to players and, taking over training sessions when the strikers are missing and saying, this is how I can imagine he's probably quite difficult to work with. It's mad still. It's mad. He needs to understand, bro. These men you're coaching, they're not at your level.
They're not levels like you.
They're not at your level. I hope he gets that Bournemouth job, man.
You're killing me. He was really sizing up the players and that. That's so bad.
He was squaring up to man, telling them about their mum and dad and all sorts, bro. The stories, bro, check it out. It's there, man. It's there on Google, bro. He was on madness at Monaco, bro.
Oh my God, Thierry Henry's on some different sort of thing, man. Would you agree with Timmy that possibly the Monaco job came too soon for him then, and then Bournemouth potentially will be okay? Because like you said, when you get away from the romance of the Premier League, of English football and things like that in the Championship, and Henry being back, it's a difficult league. And they were linked with someone like David Wagner. I know they've been linked with John Terry, Patrick Vieira, and it looks like Henry. But David Wagner, for me, if I was a Bournemouth fan, I want Henry to get it, of course, but would you have went for him? Because again, it's like experience. He's kind of been around the block. I don't know for Henry.
Henry, I feel like it's a complete flip of the coin. He'll either go there, all the players will buy into his methods and they'll get promoted, or it'll be a disaster. And let's face it, if Henry fails at Bournemouth, all them dreams of Arsenal and that, you're never, ever getting close to it, bro. And, I think maybe it was too soon for him, Monaco. It seemed like he came out, he was a pundit 1 minute, next minute he was at Monaco and he's losing his head quick. Now he's had that little bit of time out. He's gone to the MLS. You know, I've seen a lot of because he's been mic'd up a lot of times, hasn't he, in the MLS?
Yeah. The
and
clips
some of the
and that.
speeches, I'm not gonna lie, some of them speeches, I'm thinking, bro, if I'm in the dressing room and I'm hearing Thierry speak like that, I'm running through brick walls for this guy, bro, when I hear him talk like that. So, you know, I'm sure Jack Wilshere will be gassed if he goes there, but I just really hope he's a success because, you know, I can't help it, man. I'm a romantic. I want to see him do well and end up back at Arsenal somehow.
It's Thierry Henry, man. You want to see him do the best he can. It's Henry. Do you think, obviously, I don't know who he'd sign, but do you think he could look to, depends how long he's going to be there and definitely not for this season. Do you think Arsenal could do a little, put some young players on loan there, helping each other sort of thing?
Come on, man. He needs to make that call, Mikel. What you got for me, man? Yeah, all right, cool. We'll drop you a Nelson and Nketiah. We'll help you get promoted, man. But yeah, he's definitely got to have some sort of connection. And we and you have spoken in the past about Arsenal not looking after their young players properly and not having a plan. All of a sudden, one of your biggest ever players is a good championship club.
It's local, really.
It's local, just down the road. They play football the right way. Bournemouth is a nice place to live. It's relaxing. You've got the beach.
Not too many distractions.
Exactly. So to me, if I was Arsenal, I'd be saying, you know what, let's make a connection with Thierry and maybe we can drop 2 young players there for him next season. You know, obviously, depending on if he can get promoted this season. But listen, all I will say is for Thierry and his sake, the championship, that league is so difficult. It ain't going to be no walk in the park, but I hope he can get promoted. And I believe Bournemouth are doing all right in the league. So
they're like 6th or something. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I'm not watching Championship week in, week out, but they're in a decent little position in terms of the playoff spot.
Yeah, they're in the playoff spot. So he's got every chance of going there and doing well, man. But listen, I just hope he gets the job. Obviously, it hasn't been announced yet, but if he gets the job, man, Bournemouth for the second team for the time being, you know.
Trust me, and it might be a source of sort of joy and stuff, something that our club hasn't given us too often. Obviously, before we get into Arsenal and whatnot, I know you've probably seen it this morning and things, and I've done a video that's not out yet on it in relation to Eddie Nketiah, and it's a bit boring in a sad way, but you know we have to speak about it, Curtis, as you know, as you can see here on Sky Sports, Eddie Nketiah, Arsenal striker, latest high-profile footballer to be racially abused. Now, long story short, you know, our chief executive has condemned it. Obviously, it was in relation to where Eddie's alleged to just put up a training picture or something up on social media, and man are just doing a mazzer on him. And you know, we've lost count on this sort of stuff now. Every day it's a new player. You know, you've had Martial, you've had Rudiger, you've had Eddie, couple at Arsenal. Every team's gone through this BS now, quite frankly. What do you take on it, man? Not that I don't know your thoughts already.
Bro, I'll be honest with you now. I'm bored of it. You know, I'm bored of it. It's beyond annoying. And you know the thing, it's like I saw a story the other day. One of the marketing managers for Facebook was on there and on Sky, and she was explaining, you know, because they were saying, why do you not make people show identification to set up an account? Everyone sort of feels like that's how you solve the problem. And her explanation for it was, there are a lot of people who live in certain countries and parts of the world where they don't have identification. So their justification was they're going to lose a lot of numbers on that platform if you have to show ID. And I'm thinking, so that's all you really care about is the numbers then? And they're saying, you know, if you racially abuse a player, they'll suspend your account for 7 days. So 7 days later, you can come back on and say
in the meantime, make a next account.
In the meantime, make a next account on the same email address. It's pathetic. To me, that's the only way you can get a hold of it. I think, you know, listen, I'm a man, and me and you were from similar environments. We don't really deal with the police, but unfortunately, people have to be arrested for this. I'm being serious. People have to get arrested, bro, because you can't talk like that in person to somebody and get away with it. So how can you go behind a screen and do it? And me, bro, you know what? As a parent, we've grown up in this anyway. So as much as it's not right, we don't accept it, but we're used to it. You know, I'm not surprised when I see this story, but I want it to change for the next generation. You know, I don't want them to have to go through it. And to me, the government has to get involved because they can tell Facebook what they have to do. They can tell Twitter and Instagram. The government clearly don't care about it because they earn billions of pounds a year from these companies. So to me, if they want to solve this problem, they can solve it. The reason it's not solved is because they don't want to solve it. They earn too much money from it. So
Facts.
when I see this, Eddie Nketiah, Anthony Martial, all these players, I'm disgusted by it. But I know it's not going to change unless they really want to change it. And listen, man, I'm bored of it. I'm sick of it. It's you know, I don't understand why they won't do something about it. Unfortunately, they don't really care as much as they say, you know.
Unfortunately, as a fellow black man, let's call a spade a spade. I can almost feel your heart bleeding as you speak of it, because we can all directly correlate personal experiences. And you said something that shocks me but doesn't shock me, in that it don't matter how old you are. You're a bit older than me by a couple of years. It don't matter if the age difference is ours, or it's a 50-year-old man, or it's probably, you know, a 15-year-old black man. We've all gone through the same thing. It's not going to change. Like you said there, you know, there's no money in fixing this. So they'll give us these blasé say no's to racism and spend little productions and do nothing to it. And what you said there was fantastic with the example about the Facebook person. What I got from that is no empathy. Sorry. There's no empathy because there's not an immediate black face in there who's been through it and knows how it feels. So if you felt, you know, you should be able to sympathize and empathize with situations that are not your own, but they lack that. They don't look at us as human, and they lack that. And it's sorry for Eddie, you know. I feel sorry for Eddie, but the reality is, he's probably looking at this like this is light, because I can probably imagine the likes of Eddie, Reece Nelson, you know, all of these players, while coming through these academies in England, you play in certain parts of the country, you go abroad, and you're subject to this. So it's water for ducks back. It doesn't really matter if it's football, if it's walks of life, even if in the workplace, we've become accustomed to just kind of deal with it. We're not excusing it, but it can't happen. And we're going to get to a point where sadly someone's going to have enough and find someone, and you know how the script goes, or people aren't going to use this. The only thing I would say to young footballers now, sadly, is don't use social media. You know, let your agents and them people there handle it. If anything, make a burner account and follow your celebrities, and because it is a news platform in itself, so do your thing in that regards. It's not worth it, positive or good. I genuinely feel in the next couple of years there's going to be literally diseases coming out through social media, because it's not logical. Half these people abusing Eddie Nketiah. The first time they see him on the street, they're the ones racing and fighting each other to take a picture. So it's illogical in what's happening, and it's sad, man. It's really sad in a day and age as well with social media. I always say it on my socials, bro. I think personally, this is the best time to be a football fan. You know, I remember when I found out Thierry Henry was leaving Arsenal, I only found out in the newspaper with my neighbor. You know, that's the only time I knew. Now we're finding everything out. We're closer to these footballers, and people are just abusing it. I don't know how and again, I do share your opinion in that you kind of have to identify people. You need to do what it needs to be done. But I think that's the only solution until someone provides me with another one. But I feel that's it, because like you said, you can hide behind things, and it scares me because when you look at it, you know, these Twitters and these Facebooks, they're as big as the BBCs and these things now, bro, as you know. And on top of that, they've even turned, even though I agree with them, they said they turn off the lights of Donald Trump's account. So if they can do that, they can kind of at some point say who can have a voice and who can't, and you know how the script goes. But I think that's the only way around it, man. And half these people, like you said, they're not on this in real life, man. I mentioned it, and obviously it's on topic. You as a footballer, bro, like you kick ball and that. Was you subjected to it? Have you got any direct racial encounters? Did you feel it in the dressing room? Was there some experiences? What's your thoughts in there? Because I'm sure you can sympathize being in Eddie's position directly.
Yeah, do you know what, brother? I'll be honest with you. I never had like blatant racism in terms of like directly saying names and stuff like that. But you know, we've all had the feeling. We've all had them awkward looks, conversations. You know, kind of. We've all had them like kind of things anyway. You know, get them in day-to-day life. In football, I mean, the problem with football is that, especially for black people now, you look at the amount of black footballers, and then you look at the amount of black managers, black coaches, and that tells you the difference in the levels of trust.
Videos, etc., all of it. The higher, the less multicultural the faces get.
And I would say, unfortunately, due to how we move sometimes, it won't change until we get black owners.
Yeah, I would say that as well. Unfortunately, that's it.
That's it. We got to own our own companies so we can change it.
I've sat in, sorry to cut you off, but I've sat down in environments with the kick it outs and things, and there's been leading executives, there was one, there's a certain what do they call them things there again? Commentator, and he literally said the reason why there's in other words, he said the reason why there's not a lot of black managers is because they don't like these black players and these sort of like our people sort of thing. We're not on the golf courses. We're not, as you know, football is very clear. And I said, I hear that, but then that made me think, of course, if there was consortiums where obviously, like you were saying about certain individuals owning clubs, they might start playing golf. I think that's it. We're always just going to be at the hands and foot and knees of people asking for places. And we're here where we've got things like the Rooney rule and that, like, where it's just going to become a token thing. You're not even going to put man in the room because you think they're level. It's crazy.
Bro, I remember when there was a kick it outfit. I don't know if you remember back in the day, they had these black and white Nike like wristbands. They were crossed. You remember? And they came into the club I was at the time, and we had a conversation about this, and they were talking about management, and they were talking about the percentages of black footballers in the Premier League. And they was like, they trust you to run around the pitch because they trust you as an athlete, as a sporting person, but they don't trust your mind to be the manager, to
they own being a leader.
Yeah, they don't trust you to be that. Like when you look at the amount of athletes in the game and in the England squad and things like that, you know, we're prominent in the game, but when it goes to that next level,
we're not involved.
And when you talk about as well, you know, this with you know, now they have to interview you for jobs and things like that. All they're doing now is ticking boxes, bruv. You know, you don't even want it to be given to you in that way anyway. You want to earn it. So, but listen, man, you know, as we're talking about social media and that, it's a gift and a curse. On one hand, it's brought us closer than ever to footballers, to managers. You know, you can interact with them. You find out the news, like you said, that Henry story. But it's brought that other side to it, and they have no control of that. So they've got to fix that somehow, because it will only get worse, unfortunately. You know, it's becoming a token thing now. Every time something happens, the player's being racially abused, man. It's crazy. They need to fix it.
Facts. Everything you said is facts, and it's like my man said, we're seen as being beast or unintelligent or unlikely to be leader positions. And it starts with, it's not necessarily the blatant racism, it's the connotations, it's them subtle words, it's them prejudice, it's assuming that pace and power, and not, it's like even in Ndombele, you look at Ndombele at Spurs. I don't want to praise a Spurs player, of course, but he is a technically lovely footballer. So was Yaya Toure. The first things you talk about is the athleticism. One person I feel is hard done by is Patrick Vieira, because people forget, only if you was about and you understand how truly effing amazing that guy was driving with a football, his link-up play. Sadly, we talk about his physical stature and things of those natures, man. Racism isn't going to change, and sadly, me and you are going to sit here on my show and your show. I'll probably have sideburns by that time, speaking about the next.
Already here, bro.
The chin's moving mad, so Arsenal need to start winning the Premier League. I didn't think I'd be in that position, man. Let's get on to Arsenal, though, man.
Go on.
Obviously, what'd you make of the Leeds game? We're playing Benfica today. We'll get into that. But what'd you make of the Leeds game? Where you at as an Arsenal fan right now?
I think overall it was positive, man. What I loved was the way we started the game. We came out the traps. We pressed them from the front. You could see that Leeds weren't comfortable with the ball at the back when we put them under pressure. And too many times, you know, we've been doing watch-alongs this season, bro. Too many times I sit there till half time and I think, what is going off in this first half? How come we're so slow to get going? But this time we came out, and that energy that these players have brought, Smith Rowe, Saka, I thought Odegaard played well, and I enjoyed that performance. I would say the one negative, just to be a little bit picky, we shouldn't have conceded 2 goals. I think Leeds were there to be beaten 5-6-0 if we really kept our foot on the gas. I think at 4-0, we kind of thought the game was won. And, you know, if Bamford gets that penalty and makes it 4-3, it's a different story. But listen, we won the game. And I thought there were a number of good performances. I was happy to see Gabriel back in the team, because although we've had good partnerships with him not being in, I still feel he needs to be in the team moving forward. Aubameyang hat-trick, you know, I love that guy. He's the best striker at the club. For me, he's the best player at the club. You know, everyone may not agree.
It's Saka now for me, man. I can't even lie.
Saka's better. I give it Aubameyang for the longevity and the amount. Yeah, and I just thought for him to score that hat trick, and we've had a lot of conversations about who the striker's going to be at Arsenal long term. I think that was him just saying, listen, man, don't forget about me playing through the middle. Create the chances and I'll finish. So, no, it was a good win. It gives us great confidence going into the Europa League game.
Speaking before the Benfica, I wanted to ask you a couple games just to probe you a bit more on that Leeds game. What were you most impressed by in that game from us? Because for me, I've said it and I've said it on your show. I feel the pressing. I feel it was a funny game because I don't feel we necessarily created the chances. We simply pressed Leeds in those mistakes and expertly exploited them. So what was it for you?
Exactly that, bro. I think too many times this season, when you look at games like Burnley and games like that where we've lost, sometimes by putting pressure on them, they'll defeat themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I feel too many times this season, we've allowed teams to come to the Emirates and just settle
their confidence.
Yeah, just settle into the game. All of a sudden, they have a chance, and then, against Leeds, we gave them no opportunity to settle into that game, and we forced them. We put pressure on them. They had no Phillips in midfield, so they weren't as good on the ball.
Yeah.
And you could see under pressure, they couldn't deal with it. They didn't have the players to keep the ball. And I remember when Arteta first came in last season, and obviously we won the FA Cup, that was one of the things that I said that I liked so much about him was the way he plays from the front. When we counter-attack, we explode. And throughout this season, at times, we haven't seen that. And it's been like, why are we doing that? And why are we just crossing the ball in? So it felt like it was back to what we was before. And I think that was the biggest positive in the game was the energy. And, the youngsters keep performing, but I felt a few of the experienced players joined the party as well. I thought Ceballos had a really good game. He's been inconsistent. Me and you have spoken about him so many times.
At length. Yeah.
We like him as a player, but we're just genuinely not sure if we want to sign him or not. You can see the talent.
Would you know? Let me stop you there as well. Carry on with what you're saying, but like there's talk of signing him for 22 million. Would you be up for that?
I've got to be honest, right? Because of what I feel Arsenal's transfer budget will be this summer, which, let's be honest, I don't expect us to go and spend 100 million this summer.
It's not going to be a lot.
22 million for Ceballos feels a bit, I don't know. I feel like that money needs to go elsewhere first. Go and address what we actually need. If you're sitting there at the end of the window with 20 million and we've dealt with the right back, the centre mid, the centre back, and you want Ceballos, I would negotiate that lower as well.
Yeah. You know,
Madrid are in debt. We got to go there and say, yo,
try pay that for 20 years as well, man. Yeah. Cash converters, I can't lie, man.
Man, we'll give you 15 million over 10 years, man.
Football manager 500Ks when he gets 50 goals and them things there.
Yeah, man. Listen, I think that 22 million, I would rather put that towards Basuma, Aouar, somebody who I class as a priority first. If you can get him after that for maybe 15, 16 million, he's 24, he's a Spanish international. I still say as well that I want to see what he's like next to Thomas Partey. I think ultimately some players, they need better players around them, and I think it can't be easy for Ceballos coming from Madrid playing next to Luka Modric to playing next to El Neni and Xhaka, no disrespect. Next to Thomas Partey, you might see a different Dani Ceballos. So I would say get the price lower, deal with the priorities first. If he's still available, then yeah. If you're talking 22 million, I would maybe not do it at that price, to be honest.
It's like you said, man, you took it. There's nothing I can really add. For me, if there's bread left at the end of the window, you do what you can. But if that 22 million can be redistributed towards whatever kitty we had for Aouar or whoever the targets are, go and do that elsewhere. So I'm all for that. You hit the nail on the head with Ceballos and that. We know he's a quality player. If it was just on technical ability alone, we take him. But I want to see you lock it down because I see little bits and pieces of you showing what you need to do. But then I hear Arteta sly little indirects, not just to him, but talking about training. And I look at it, I'm like, what? You're 23, 24, that sort of age. You want to play for Madrid. You play for Spain. We shouldn't have to tell you why you have to, not getting at him or questioning his attitude, but there's no reason for you not to be consistently good. You need to be serious now, and I think too many people look at technical level and think that's the bar. If he maintains how he's been playing, definitely how he played in his last game, I'm all for it. But if not, I want to look elsewhere. And for me, crucially, as much as I like Ceballos, and if that did happen, I need to see what midfielder are you. What I know where you could play. You can play as an 8, you can play as a 10, probably more at home as an 8 in a pivot, like you said with Partey. Yeah. Or what are you? Because I feel there's too many unanswered questions in that midfield, and there's too many players that are technically good, but I don't know what you're a specialist of. And then if we need you to do some other roles, do it, sort of thing. You know, where are you at with the midfield? Because there's talk how about apparently Fabrizio Romano said Torreira's more or less gone. He said with Guendouzi, they'll assess the thing. And you know me, and I know you already, you know, Guendouzi's our guy. We don't really want him to be done out here. So where are you at with that one? Does he get sold to you? Or what happens there?
Yeah, Torreira, I think, has to go. He doesn't want to be in England. He wasn't happy in England. With Guendouzi, I like Guendouzi, man. Me and you have spoke about him a number of times. That I think even that little chip on his shoulder doesn't really bother me. You know, I don't mind.
You're serious,
yeah, like all it is with him. Look, at the end of the day, Arteta's the manager. He wants a certain level and a certain attitude. I just hope he's matured. He's had a year in Germany. He's had a kid. You know, if anything's going to mature you, it's that. So I just hope he kind of realizes that, you know, because I think Hertha Berlin have had a tough time this year. The manager's been sacked. I hope he's sitting there in Germany thinking, do you know what, man?
I had it good, you know.
I had it good, man. In London, at Arsenal, I'm on good money.
Other Frenchman around and that. It was wavy.
You know what I mean? So, listen, if his attitude has improved, Guendouzi, for me, I would keep him because he's 21. He's a French international. I feel he can improve as a player. Even if 2 years down the line, he's got 20 caps for France and you offload him for 30 million, then it's done its job. I think when you look at the midfielders we've got now, outside of Thomas Partey, I would say all those midfielders are below par at the moment. I think Tobias has got the talent, but he's
obviously Curtis is talking about pure central midfielders, not
pure central midfielders, not the 10s and that. You know, I think Xhaka is sellable despite the improvement. I think we'll probably keep him as a squad player. El Neni, I would definitely get rid of.
Decision has to be made on the man's contract as well.
It's got to be made. So, but then the problem you got with Guendouzi, like you said, you've got to give him a new deal. You know, because he's got a year left. You don't want him to run down into that year. Imagine if he starts tearing up the place and PSG come knocking and he says, yo, I ain't signing nothing. So me personally, I would bring Guendouzi back. I would give him an extension, maybe a 2-year extension or something. And I would reintegrate him. I think if you're looking at 4 centre midfielders next year, if we ended up with like Partey, Bissouma, Guendouzi and maybe another new centre mid, I think that's a good 4 compared to what we're dealing with now. So, yeah, Guendouzi for me, bring him back in, man. I'm all for it.
Yeah, man, I'm 100% with you. Bring him back in, you know, had the year to mature and all of that sort of stuff. Let's get back to it. I want to see a decision made early for obvious reasons that you stated with that contract. I feel the difference with Torreira and Guendouzi, because I would like Torreira back as well. I haven't had to question if Guendouzi's about this, you know, when he's on the field, he's on this. His problems has probably been he wants it too much and he can't rein it in. Torreira, you do your thing on the field, but off the field, you're not with it. So I'd like Guendouzi to stay, and I would actually like to see what actually happened, because I also feel beyond the obvious things, maybe they've just said you're just going out on loan this year. You could say sorry, it's cool, but you could just go out on loan. I need you to play. I'm going to play Xhaka and these sort of guys more. You'll have another bit of experience. So I'm keen to see, and I agree with you, man. I don't want to let him leave for free because the club will look at it and say, oh, we only paid 7-8 million for him. It's not an L. But considering he could turn into a 20, 30, 40 million pound player potentially at a club that claims they're meant to be proactive, need to improve. I would like to have him in the squad. I would like to flirt between, you know, the Basumas, the Aouars with Partey and all these other guys. I would like Guendouzi to be in that conversation. Watching him in Germany, I think he's still playing the same way, though. I think his mentality is still there. I think he still stands up to be counted. I still think a lot of improvement, Curtis, defensively. He tries, he mucks him, but you know it's very easy to get past him. I think he's got to improve a lot there.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think people have to understand, man. The guy came out of the 2nd division in France. He didn't have a lot of experience. He came here like a young pup, man. He's probably just eager to prove himself.
Arsene Wenger sort of signing for me, man. Like,
yeah. He probably needs that kind of manager. I think the problem with Arteta this season, and this is where I do put a bit of sympathy to it, I think he's had so much going off behind the scenes.
He ain't got time for it.
To Guendouzi, like, just get him out of the way. I ain't got time for that. Whereas when he comes back, I feel like you're coming into a much calmer situation. Ozil's gone. All of these things have calmed down. this is where he needs to put his arm around Guendouzi and say, listen, I can see the talent there. You're 21, French international. I'm going to work with you. You know, that's the reason apparently we bought Arteta, was for the coaching ability.
Mm-hmm.
You should be looking at Guendouzi with excitement, like, yo, 21, French international. Got a bit of arrogance about him. I can turn him into something. You know, I remember, was it the Tottenham game? Was it the Tottenham game when we were losing? Yeah, and he was bossing that game, and I'm thinking,
getting onto the Brighton games. He's on this. Guendouzi's on this thing, man.
He's on it, man. Listen, I would rather have that kind of fighting spirit and attitude that he's got than some of these players at times where they've been just going through the motions. So, yeah, give him a chance, man. Give him a chance. But I have to admit, hearing his interviews and some of the things he's saying, he doesn't sound like he's endearing himself to Arteta that much. I mean, he was being honest, but they goes, who's the best manager you played for? Or Unai Emery. Who's the best player? Or
someone around you that's sensible.
You know what I mean? He ain't saying, not even when him and Ozil was kind of out of the way, he kept bigging up Ozil. It's like, you're only going to wind up your manager by doing that. But
be sensible.
Yeah, be sensible. Just listen, I just hope he matures and comes back next season.
And you said something great there about coaching. I think he is I want to be wary of using words like a diamond, but I see Guendouzi as someone that Arteta should be able to coach. First and foremost, from a footballing point of view, if he just improves defensively, he'll be a much better player, in my opinion. And I actually feel he just needs to be taught to play that difficult pass. Like you mentioned Spurs. I remember that game. He played one difficult pass for Aubameyang. Not too many times we've hit him in behind. I think he can be coached to do that more and dictate a game. He might not be a midfielder that's going to get goals and assists, but I think there's something in there. And I feel in relation to off the field, he's a leader. Like he is a leader. I think where he needs to realize is you're a man of influence, you know, rightly or wrongly. You know, you're a young guy, but you know, the Lacazettes, the Ozils, all these guys, maybe they see you as a little brother or whatnot. You've been them man's young G, you've been about. Obviously, you know, Saliba and all these guys mess with him as well. So you're a man that people listen to. You're a man that gets man behind you. Use that in the right way. You know, I see someone in the comments say he's not going to play for France. I hear that, but there must be something. He got called up by the Champs. Fair enough, there is injuries, but there's ability there. I'm keen to see what our midfield looks like because on one hand, we spoke about at length, like everybody on loan could be sold. I do think there could be a future where Guendouzi and Joe come back purely because I don't know if we're going to get people in, and you know the drama yourself in relation to us bringing in players. Even look at Partey.
Exactly. Yeah. To me, I mean, we were saying the other day, we'd like to see 2 new centre midfielders. I reckon Arsenal will probably buy 1 midfielder, if I'm honest, because I think they will keep either Guendouzi, Joe Willock, or maybe both of them. You know, if Joe does well at Newcastle, he plays himself back into contention because he's got a quality about him that none of the central midfielders, and that's the eye for goal, that run. He just needs to add end product. You know, you saw in that first game for Newcastle, he looked better than I've probably ever seen him for Arsenal, which is just typical, isn't it? You know, but I think, look, move on El Neni, move on Torreira. Xhaka, I mean, he's going to keep Xhaka. I think he likes him, don't he? I'm not a big fan of him. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of him, but I just want to see. Do you know what excites me about Arsenal moving forward? I'm looking at next season. I'm thinking you got Gabriel, you got Saliba, you got Kieran Tierney. They're all under 25. You go into midfield, you could have Guendouzi, and then you go into the more attacking roles. You got Smith Rowe, you got Saka, you got Martinelli. We got a core there of young players that could really grow together. You sprinkle your Partey, Aubameyang, you know, your Leno. Maybe you get another new centre back, a new right back. All of a sudden, you got a strong, energetic team there of players that are only going to get better as well. So, listen, I think the future could be bright. We need some sort of success in the meantime to help us build on that. And I like someone saying there, Willock and Ramsey. You know, I didn't think Ramsey was that great at a young age at Arsenal.
No, it took him a long time to really develop. He used to get a hard time by fans. But this tells you why fans shouldn't always write players off. I'm not saying Willock is or isn't going to develop, but Arsenal fans used to hate Ramsey. By the end of his tenure, people were begging him to stay.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it'll be interesting, man. I think I've always felt like Willock had something. The end product wasn't there. The decision making,
where he's either going to start looking like a competent player, or you're just going to float and do what you're doing at Newcastle. Really,
yeah. But I do think Newcastle's a good move for him. I even think getting out of London and all that will help him, having to go to a different part of the country, play for Steve Bruce. He looks like he's going to get game time there because their midfield isn't that great. He's got a good little link up already with St. Maximum. I see them two putting up tweets of each other and stuff. So
loving it.
I'm hoping he can come back and have some sort of future because he hasn't had a loan move before, and I think he needed game time. So he's one of the ones who I think could rescue his career at Arsenal.
Did you watch his game against Chelsea?
No, I didn't watch it. I saw the highlights. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it was part of a just poor team performance, really and truly. What have you made really in the game? Well, not that you can really comment, but what have you made of Maitland-Niles? His two little, because I've watched his 2 games respectively. What have you made of his little tenure away from the club?
I mean, I saw the whole of the United game and I thought, he's doing all right here. It looks all right. And then when Bruno Fernandes scores and they look at it and they go, actually, Smith Rowe's on the, Maitland-Niles on the wrong side of it.
Should be marking.
And that to me sums up Ainsley Maitland-Niles, to be honest, that he does so many good things, but I just think that concentration. And I think sometimes, as a footballer, you've got to make a decision and say, am I better off in another position on the pitch, even if that's your favourite position? Is Ainsley Maitland-Niles better in midfield than he is at fullback? I'm not actually sure if he is. Honestly, I'm not sure. We all talk about that performance against United and Pogba. Yeah, in isolation, that's great, but he's never really. He's played under 3 managers now, and none of them have really said, go and have a go in midfield. And let's be honest, we've had weak midfields in the past couple of years. I think Ainsley's best
been given more opportunities, and we've been speaking about Joe potentially. Can he make it or not?
Yeah, I think his best performances have been at wing back and full back. So, Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool apparently was the new Steven Gerrard in the team. He was the new Gerrard, and all of a sudden, Klein's out. They put him right back. He's not coming out saying, "Yo, listen, put me back in centre mid." The man's just saying,
the opportunity he's got.
I'm in the team. I'm one of the best right backs. I've got the qualities to work here. I'm gonna make my career here. So, I think Ainsley's got to be smart. I think Ainsley's in danger of ending up at a team like, no disrespect, West Brom on a permanent deal because of his attitude and this not that he's got a bad attitude, I'm saying with his preference to play in a certain position. I don't think he's rated highly as a centre midfielder. I honestly don't. I think he would have been better off playing at fullback. Apparently he turned down Southampton at fullback to play centre mid for West Brom. I don't know. They're going to get relegated. They're going to finish bottom of the league. They're going to lose most weeks. As I said, we spoke about it before. I'm not sure how good that loan move is going to be for him.
And this is it, man. I think the one saving grace is his manager seems to be playing him. And regardless, he's still got 180 minutes odd for West Brom, something he couldn't get at Arsenal. I did say the one thing I would say I wanted him to learn is exactly what we've spoken about. Like you said, he switched off for the United goal. Obviously, there was a couple of times he left his team susceptible on the counter-attack. He arguably cost his team with his poor decision-making. And I think it comes, as much as I love Maitland now, it's languid. He's very languid. He's very slow to react. And this is going to cost you. In isolation, it looks great when you're scoring these little penalties or doing these performances against Pogba, but it's a week in, week out thing. And the one thing I'm saying to Joe and Maitland, not that they don't know, this is the harsh reality of football now. You've got your opportunity now. You've got to the end of the season to show you're a centre mid at Arsenal because it's in Arsenal's best interest for you to play well. You might have an underdog chance of making it. We could probably sell you, but I personally think Maitland-Niles is gone in that regards. We've got a question here. Would you rather Ainsley Maitland-Niles or Bellerin at right back? Personally, I would go with Maitland-Niles.
I agree, bro. I agree. Bellerin this year, defensively, has been exposed many times. He can't cross the ball. At times he can't even throw the ball. So you know what I mean? I'm going Ainsley, bro. I'm going Ainsley, definitely.
Do you think, because I do think managers are entitled to play their best teams and whoever they want, whether they re-rate them or not. But do you think he's in danger of playing favourites? Not that Bellerin's been terrible or been on Willian's standard, but we know where we're at with Hector Bellerin. And, Ainsley Maitland-Niles maybe hasn't taken his chance, but you never know. What he could have done with more opportunities. I don't think Cedric's been perfect, but if Tierney is fit, I'm putting Cedric over there at right back personally. Yeah. But we all know Cedric would probably drop to the bench for Bellerin. do you think he's at risk of playing favourites? Because I think he's learned his lesson with the Willian one.
Yeah, I think you get a lot of politics in football clubs, and Bellerin is a favourite at the club. You can tell the club love Bellerin. Bellerin, he does the interviews.
Spokesman thing.
Yeah, man, he's been at the club, since he was young. There'll be pressure on Mikel Arteta to play Bellerin, and also the fact of the matter is there isn't a lot of pressure on him at right back, in the sense that with Willian playing bad, you always had that thing in the background that, hang on a minute, Pepe costs 72 million, or then Saka goes there and he's a revelation. With Bellerin, the potential replacements are not that much better than him. Cedric is not significantly better than Bellerin, even if he is a little bit better. So I think with it's a name brand thing. It's a name brand thing with Bellerin. The club will also be looking at it saying, listen, if you do decide to sell Bellerin, you want him in the shop window. You want him playing to get the most value for him. So, yeah, you get these politics at a football club, man. I remember it one time when I was a player myself. I actually knocked on a manager's door and said,
"Bruh,
how is this guy playing in front of me?" Like, literally, bruv. Like, no, literally, bruv. I was like, when a man's genuinely not playing well, if a guy's in front of you playing well, sometimes you just
have to shut up in it. Then you can
say the guy's balling, bro. This guy was playing, I'm talking like bad every week. I literally, one Monday, I knocked on the manager's door. I said, how is this guy playing in front of me? And he basically said to me that it's not really in my hands. Basically said, this guy's got to play. He was one of the top earners at the club. He'd signed him as well.
Okay, no. So he's like that.
He was like, yeah, I can't buy a guy, give him that much money and then bench him, because I'm going to look stupid. That's on my head. He's like, I've got to basically play him until he hits form, or someone says, we'll take him, and I get him off the books. And
or the higher powers say F off.
Or the higher powers say, yeah. But and those things happen at these clubs as well. And I think Bellerin's just, the club love him, man. And I think Arteta loves him. As I said, man, Arteta, he looked after him. He stayed with him for like 6 months.
That's his mud brother, innit? He come up through the mud.
Boy, man. That's his boy, yeah. So it's politics, man. But he's got to replace Bellerin in the summer.
You made an interesting comment, yeah, and it kind of ties into something I wanted to ask you, because I'm one of them. When it comes to Willian, I'm one of them fans who's on this conspiracy theorist thing. In that, I think Arteta likes him, but I think there's got to be, which is a problem for us, there's got to be something financially in that man's contract to say if he doesn't play, then it's peaker for us than actually playing him, because he somehow twangs his way off the bench. And I know. Me and you speak about Arteta's comments about trading and things like this, people. Maitland-Niles is it's not happened for Maitland. He's bigged up players. This first sort of paragraph, Curtis, if I read this to you, on Willian, he said, what he's doing at the moment, the way he's training, the way he's working, the way he's willing to give everything to the team is what I demand. Whether he's more or less successful in the game is another matter. It will come with the quality that he has. But this is what I demand to every player. So I'm not going to, the bit about commitment and stuff is jargon, and he speak about the criticism of him. But what do you make of that, the whole training business? Because surely it's about what's happening on the pitch.
I mean, Arteta seems very struck on this whole training thing, don't he? Oh, they train well and blah, blah, blah. I think, I can imagine Willian is a good trainer, to be honest. He's technically a very good footballer in terms of technical ability. But unfortunately, what you're producing on the training ground and the pitch are two totally different things. So I've said this recently, man, Arteta is a politician, the way he talks in press conferences. He answers questions without answering questions. Do you know what I'm saying? So he knows what he's doing there with Willian, man. He's just trying to justify something with him, innit? But the fans aren't buying into that.
And I think it's interesting, he said, on criticism of Willian, he said, I don't say it's unfair because I'm going to call him William because that's a mad nickname there. Hey, that's a mad spot. With the expectation is really high in terms of the goals he can score, the assists he can create. You expect him to be in the starting lineup as well. So it's normal that people write things about him. We have to protect him. We have to support him as much as we can because he deserves it from the way he handles his profession and the way he is. Now, for me, of course, he deserves criticism, but he also deserves protection. And I like that the managers kind of protected him in there. But what do you make make of that? Because he actually hasn't. I wouldn't say he's not defended Willian, but he's not played down fans. He's kind of addressed it, and obviously Willian's been dropped.
Yeah, the one thing I kind of like about that is that he's acknowledging that he's not playing well enough, and I think as a manager you do have to do that without kind of feeding him to the wolves. One thing I will say with Willian, I think at times, and I think we have to be careful with this, I think Arsenal fans went into this signing already ready to kind of explode.
Already, yeah, he couldn't do nothing. He couldn't do no well.
It was like Chelsea again. Gallas ripped us off. Peter Cech, David Luiz. So this is the 4th time. So I think Arsenal fans were already like, yo, man, another Chelsea player in his 30s on big money. What I will say, I will never sit here and pretend he's been good. He has been awful for us this season. And I'm surprised by how poor he's been, to be honest.
Trust me.
We have to be careful with what we blame him for, because at times I've seen him come on and just have a quiet 20 minutes, not do anything right, not do anything wrong.
Just like against Wolves.
Yeah, even against Leeds, I see a man go, oh, we conceded 2 because of Willian. I'm like, well, actually, it was nothing to do with Willian.
It's man go. Not that I'm excusing it, but Saka and David Luiz switched off, Bellerin and Saka switched off. Blame the right person, There
you go. So, and a lot of fans, do you know what it is? A lot of fans will see it as, just get rid of him. Just get rid of him. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. This guy's on nearly 200 grand a week with bonuses. He's got 2.5 years left on his deal. Do you know how big a check you've got to write for him to walk out right now?
Are we at that point? Are we at that point? If we come to the end of the season, bearing in mind we're approaching March now, do we have to just bite the bullet? Because I say this, we have to acknowledge, Arsenal have been getting a lot of signings wrong, bro. But sometimes signings don't work out. And I always judge a team on how quickly can you right your mistakes. Do we give him another season? Do we bite the bullet and do what we did with Socrates, Mustafi, Ozu, etc., and say, you know what, no matter how big of a check it is, it's not worked out. Edu and Arteta, we've effed up. We move.
I don't think there's any way on earth they'll do that. I don't think they will. I think with Socrates and players like that, they had 6 months left, so you might have to drop a couple mil on them, man, which they can live with. But you're talking, I think they were saying that Willian's next 2 years is like over £11 million in wages. They're not writing him an £11 million check in a pandemic. Edu loves him as well. He loves the guy. And I think Arteta was a big part of that signing. I know a lot of people who love Arteta are saying it wasn't his signing, it was Edu. I think he'll definitely be here next season. I think the only thing you could do is maybe, could you get him out on loan? Could you get him on loan? But the problem,
some loan fees and that.
Could you get him out on loan? Somebody gives you $1 million to take him on loan, pays half the wage. But you got to understand, Willian's got a wife, he's got kids, he's got a restaurant.
You can't just force man to go anywhere.
He didn't want to leave London. He didn't want to leave London.
The biggest paid player in MLS for Arsenal, for London.
Yeah, man. I think Willian will be here next season. I think we've got to see if we can play him into some sort of form. I don't want to see Willian starting for Arsenal.
I can't lie, bro. I hear you. I really do. I agree. But see, with Willian, for me, you've got to do the next season. You're doing Carling Cup. You're doing early stages of your voice in the dressing room. Don't want to see you in the match day, really, unless you earn it.
No. He's got to go group stage, Dundalk and Mulder and that. He's got to go to them games. Carabao Cup, first, second round. We bring you on. You're on the bench. He can't be getting starting lineup. He can't be getting that. And I think Arteta knows that now. To be fair, I think he's looking at it and going, it's not working for him. It's funny, because when we signed him, me and you was talking, and I was like, to me, I see him as a 10. I think the 10 role. I don't think
that was it. We're like, minimum, he can do the little wing thing and whatnot. But if we're not going to sign a 10, thank God Odegaard and things have been done and Smith Rowe's emergence. But we were sitting here and saying, you know what? worst comes to worst, he must be able to play a ball forward. We can find some use for him. That's my problem with him, Curtis. It's like no one was writing home about Willian. Like I wasn't happy about the signing, but I thought, you know what, squad player. I thought he would get couple goals, couple assists. He'll frustrate me. I didn't think he'd be this bad. You know, we've tried him as people forget. We tried him as a false 9. It didn't bang. We tried him left wing. It didn't bang. We tried him right wing. It was dead. 10. It was dead. So it's like that sets me up for this sort of thing. Big up all the JA viewers here. Please, everyone, make sure you're hitting the like button. If Willian does hit form, bro, where's his best position for you?
See, the problem is, even if he hits form, like those 3 attacking positions, I wouldn't want to see him starting over the players that play in those positions. To me, on the left, you've got Pepe, you've got Martinelli. I don't want him playing ahead of them two. On the right, you've got Saka or Pepe sometimes if he doesn't play on the left. And then in that number 10 role, you've got Smith Rowe and Odegaard. So if he's playing over any of them, I think I'm genuinely disappointed because I want those guys to develop rather than a guy who's 33 this season taking up their minutes. So I can't see Willian being anything more than an impact player. I think we've got to understand that we also have to look at the bigger picture in the sense of Willian had his best season for Chelsea last year in terms of numbers. You know, 9 goals, 7 assists in the Premier League for a right footer playing on the right is pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah.
So you've also got to ask the question, why is Willian so bad now? Why is he actually so bad?
That's for me, bro. This is the problem. This is why it's an issue when we sign these experienced players. Not because for me we're signing them. We don't negate how they're declining. You know, there's nothing wrong with declining, but we don't mold their play. You know, when I look at Willian, tactically, I think he has been hard done by at times. I think he has lost his confidence. But like you said, there's got to be a reason as to why he's not being anything productive as he has been by Willian's standards at previous clubs. A bit of that has to be in the coaching. I'm a bit scared because, like you was putting it, you know, even if Willian's playing better than everyone, he deserves to play. But I wouldn't want him to play and cost people minutes, and that's where the problem is for me, because it seems like everybody, the fans listening to this, me and you, we see him as a squad player. People are seeing him at this club as someone that should be playing week in, week out, you know, turning in performances. I get it for the price given to him, you know, the wages, but it's not making sense. And when I hear stuff like I was brought here to get Champions League and win it and all of these sort of things, this tells me that you're a big homie in this team when you should, like, I don't think Martinelli, listen, for me, Martinelli's a striker, second best, he's on the left. I don't really want him to play right wing, but I'd rather him get some game time, just forcing him on the right, even bringing in a Nelson and whatnot, than Willian, because I don't see it. And I thought at worst, you know, like you said, you got to look at the bigger picture. Our team was topsy-turvy. You know, we need young players. We need a couple bridge players. And I thought Aubameyang's a quality player. He keeps scoring goals for the next 2-3 years, and then that's his time done. I thought Willian could have been a little competent little squad player. Give us a bit. Bring him on in games. We need to defend a bit. He hasn't been that. And that's why I always, like I was saying earlier, bro, that's why I always look at. I look for the get out clause. When the signing ain't banged, how do you get out? You know,
you get out of it, yeah.
With exception to the big money signings, you know you're not going to make your money back. It is what it is. But these sort of things you can't get out. When you've got a Guendouzi or Torreira and it hasn't worked out and whatever, you can make it. You should be able to make your bread back. This is how football goes sometimes. So that's what scares me, bro, in that regards. I don't know.
Bro, do you know what I want to say, right? And I know. And I get it why a lot of people are against Willian. He's been a disaster. I was looking at 2 things of last season, why he had good numbers last year. Number 1, he had Reece James behind him, who for me is one of the best right backs at the moment. You're like young English right backs. You know, overlaps, he's strong, he defends, he takes responsibility. He wasn't even making Willian defend as much as Bellerin has made him defend. On the second side of that, because I think when Willian was playing for Arsenal starting, he was putting a lot of crosses into the box. He was putting lots of crosses in. Now at Chelsea, you've got Giroud scoring headers from those crosses. You got Tammy Abraham scoring headers. They're 6'4", 6'5".
We got Saka winning the ball in the air, which.
But what I'm saying, if I put a cross in that's a decent ball and Lacazette's in the box and he loses that header, no one's going to talk about that cross. If Olivier Giroud heads that in the bottom corner and that's the winner, I'm making the headlines. Look at this ball from Willian and Giroud scored. So sometimes it's like, I kind of look at that signing and think, what was the plan with Willian? He's a right-footed right winger. He puts crosses in. We haven't got a striker that wins headers. You've also got a right back behind you that is defensively poor and wants you to come back and defend a lot. You know,
backwards. And once 9 times out of 10, Bellerin's more on joining the midfield. He's clearly been told to do that, but he's more on being narrow than being a sort of width demon. And as you know, as I know as well, as a right back, your wingers love that because just by making a run, you take a man with you, or you give someone a decision to
take the way. So I think you're right. I think there was no plan behind that signing. It was just like, oh, Willian is a big name. He's been a good player. He's had a good season, and we can get him on a free. You know, the deal in itself was ridiculous. You know, I got to be honest. When I heard Willian on a free, I was kind of for it. On like,
I wasn't against it. I was upset, but I weren't like, I'm gonna come up with pitchforks in that. I just think it's just not inspiring. It's not of a team that wants to get back to where I would like us to be.
I felt like because we had a lot of young players in those positions, I thought on a 1-year deal, you know, Willian's not a problem. He's an experienced player. But when you're giving him a free, once you know it's a 3-year deal, walk away from the table. You know,
there's a reason. Chelsea said no, because they could have buckled. They really wanted him to stay. But at some point, Roman or Marina or whoever, they said, nah, F that. You're not worth that. So why have we gone out there and said, oh, have it, man. Have it. It's all good, man. It's all good. Have it. Because I'm not one of them, man, who speak about, oh, yeah, he signed for big money. There's no motivation. He don't want to play. I genuinely don't believe footballers do that. Why would you do that? Yeah. It's a very stupid way to look at life, in my opinion. But it's like I said, the get out clause. And it's like when you've got Willian, when you've got Aubameyang's an exception, but he's parallel with the age. When you've got his age, when you've got Willian, when you've got allegedly David Luiz talk about new deals, player, manager, coach, whatever sort of thing. If he's not going to be that and just a normal new deal like players, it doesn't send out a good message. I get keeping them around, tying over. You need to, you can't do too many wholesale things, but it doesn't scream longevity for me. And it's like Turkish says, shout to Turkish. It's the roundabout business because it's getting rid of the Ozils and shaving all this money, but then you're back to square one. And it's like when I look at Arsenal, and I'm sure you agree as well, you don't really understand when we sign a player what we're signing them to do, what sort of piece to the puzzle they're solving, and you really don't understand our philosophy. So how can we really look at players? It's like we have made some good signings, but have they been good players because they're good players, or we've bought them because they tie into something?
Hey, bro, it's mad. It's mad, especially with that Willian one. I just, as you say, man, there was no plan behind it. It just reminds me of Mkhitaryan, another player that was good, but kind of
another player because we're losing one.
Yeah, exactly. Like someone's going, so bring him in. So you get rid of Mkhitaryan and you bring him in the same sort of situation on a longer deal. It's another player that is going to end up going for no transfer fee. We're going to pay millions in wages. I'm almost certain Willian will be at Arsenal next season. I don't see any way how you get him out the door unless you get him on loan. And would he even want to go on loan? He wanted to stay in London. He'll probably say, no. I'm chilling for another year before anything happens.
That's it. And I'm just hoping that somehow we can get a decent performance from Willian. I'm not against him. There's plenty of players. I'm not necessarily the biggest Xhaka. I'm actually not harsh on Xhaka. I like him, but I'm not the biggest fan of him, of Hector Bellerin, of Willian, even of Cedric, really. But I want every player that plays for Arsenal Football Club to do well because there's more problems. I would love Willian's form uptake because we've got problems. Who plays on the right? Who plays whatever? I would love Willian to complicate it in things because it would help us. And we're at a part of the season now where, as you see, depth is going to be vital. Yeah, we ain't really spoken about it, but where are you at now? Because obviously, February we did beat Leeds, but it's been peak for us. We're now going into a sandwich game, really. City, we've got City, and then before that we've got Benfica. Where are you at for the Benfica game? Where are you at as well? Like, are you playing a strong team throughout, or are you trying to rotate and do all these things?
The Benfica game, I'm split on it because I did a preview yesterday with a Benfica fan and he made me mad. Yeah, he made me mad confident that we're going to beat them. But then I looked at it and I thought, well, wait a minute. Yeah, you're 3 points behind Porto and Porto just turned Juventus over. So that tells you that you can't be complacent. And they've got some good players, man. That Everton, Suarez, I think we tried to sign him. Yeah, Adel Tarap. They got Pizzi. They got, Rafa Silva. They've got Vertonghen. They've got experience. Yeah, there you go, man. They've got experienced players. And And listen, man, we went to that Olympiacos game last season. You know, I turned to that game thinking that was done and dusted. We beat them away from home, and look what happened. Unfortunately, with Arsenal, you never know what's going to happen. We can beat anyone, we can lose to anyone. So I am confident we're going to win, but I'm cautious. You know, I'm kind of excited but nervous for the game because a lot is riding on it, and I feel like our season is depending on this competition. I got to be honest. I think in the league, top 4 is too far away with the games we've got coming up. I know mathematically the players have to keep fighting every game, but realistically, I think this Europa League is our only hope. Somehow, we've got to win this tournament this season. We have to.
So like you said it there, man, you know, you said it there yourself. You kind of answered what I wanted you to answer in that. Are you throwing your eggs in the Europa League or the Premier League basket? I fully agree with you and take nothing away. For me, I want to go for it all. I'm a bit greedy and it might be idiotic, but I just think there's too much points on this season. I just think as much as I feel Europa League is our best chance, I don't know if we're cerebral enough to get to the final. I've seen us go to a final. I've seen us F up over 2 legs about Olympiacos. Now, you set me up perfectly because I'm sure you saw on the screen, Arteta's basically said we've learned our lessons from last year. So let's see, innit? And I think the big part of what he said there, people, he said the big lesson there is that you have to play every single minute of the competition with a high focus. Every detail matters and every situation has to be handled. And it's about being able to control the game in the way it's required because it's over 2 legs. What do you make of that? And, you know, what is the ideal scenario besides winning this game for you, my guy?
Yeah, he's right, because obviously that Olympiacos game, we thought we was through when Aubameyang scores the bicycle kick, and then they got and do you know what? That's one thing that concerned me about that Leeds game again, is like at 4-0, I feel like, you know, you've took your foot off the gas and you've nearly come up short because of that. The top teams don't do that. I think sometimes with Arsenal, we lack control of games and
game management.
Yeah, game management is poor. And look, ideal scenario for me would be obviously if we hammer them tonight and take the pressure off the second leg, and then maybe you could focus a little bit more on the Man City game. Obviously, Thomas Partey's not available. That Man City game is tricky to me because, number one, most people expect Man City to beat us, let's be honest. They've got Aguero and De Bruyne back now as well.
Gundogan will be fit apparently as well, and look at his form.
So, all right, I'll give you a scenario then. Are you picking your full strength team? Obviously, you're going full strength against Benfica tonight. Are you going full strength against Man City on Sunday? Bear in mind, you've got to go full strength next Thursday as well.
I'll be real with you, yeah. I think it comes down to, obviously, we've had injuries and we've had all these things, but I'll be real. If I'm as a footballer, like I said on your show, in August, you look for these scenarios. As a manager or as a club, you prepare for these scenarios. Footballers, you should relish wanting to play in this at the same standard, you know. And what I would like to see, I'm no physio or whatnot, but you've played football. It's not always about playing and getting injured and fatigue. It's about how you manage the workload in the week for some players. You know, Smith Rowe might have to start the week doing heavier training sessions and then winding down. Some man have to do the mad thing before and start winding down. So if we're managing the teams, why not? But I'm going full strength, bro. The only rotation I'm going with, my guy, is them ones there. Like Pepe didn't play last game, neither did Lacazette. So them man are in. You know, maybe I'll push David Luiz in for holding. If Tierney's fit, you see Tierney come in and Cedric. I'm not really trying to play around too much beyond that.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because, you know, that you don't want to get annihilated by City. If we made 4 or 5 changes against them, it could get embarrassing. But
I mean, there's too much points on the line for all of that, man. It's about respect at the same time, man. Can we really rest players, really, based on how City are moving right now? Because even the goals and chances we're giving up, bro. I'm not on trying to be like Southampton and getting them mad football scorelines, you know. I'm not on it at all.
Yeah. You know, we're capable of that, you know. We could hold a 6 against City at home if we rotated.
This is what I'm saying. And I feel this as well, like Joel saying, at the end of the day, you play full strength in both games, good enough time, enough recovery time. I'm with all of that, man.
Yeah, I agree. I think... listen, if I was a player, if I'm Saka now in that kind of form, I don't need a rest. I don't need no rest. You know, if anything, have some very light training sessions between games.
Just recover, man, properly. Like,
yeah, I want to play in these games. Like, so, we're at the FA Cup, we're at the Carabao Cup. We've got enough time to go for it. So I agree with you. The next couple of weeks, I think you've just got to go with whatever is your best team and run with that, man. I think, like you said, the Prem, as much as I'm saying I think top four's gone, if I'm playing for Arsenal right now, I'm thinking top four's still gettable if you can win enough games in a row. So, yeah, I think maybe Thomas Partey and Tierney you've got to be careful with.
Yeah. Obviously, that man there is a tricky one. And it's also for me as well, bro. Sorry to cut you off. It's even if we don't get top four, bro, try finish as high as possible, bro. Try and decrease the embarrassment. Simple as that.
Do you know, I wanted to ask you, what would you do with the goalkeepers? Because I'm thinking that if we sign Matt Ryan, bear in mind he's sitting on Brighton's bench, we must have promised him something. We must have said, you can have the cup competitions, or, what would you do with the keepers? Would you pick the same Leno in every game?
I'll be real, bro. Leno's playing. Like Matt Ryan, you do your thing, and it's actually Runison's birthday. Happy birthday, Runison, if you're listening. Leno's playing, bro. Especially with, especially when not that we've turned the corner, but when you've sort of found some stability in defense, and our record's been okay, even though we're not convinced. I don't think this is the time to be playing around with things. Now that Leno and these centre halves and even Cedric mucking in that left back and Bellerin, now that there's a bit of communication and a functioning unit, there's no point taking it apart. And Matt Ryan, I can't blame him in his last appearance. I would back him to play. I'd even be comfortable with him playing, but I just feel this is the time now. Just play. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Just play the right team. And saying that, Leno, he's been good this season, but I don't need the Leno that got sent off for no reason against Wolves. I believe in Leno. He needs to move mad. Man, I say Renison turned 13 today. Vials.
Yo, Renard, he probably can't believe he's an Arsenal player.
Lidge. So to end this though,
go on.
What's your lineup and what's your score prediction for tonight?
So the lineup, I mean, it's interesting because Tierney's travelled. So, listen, if he's travelled, I'm classing him as fit and available. So I'm going Leno in goal. I'm playing Tierney at left back. I'm playing him. If he's travelled, he's playing. I'm playing Cedric at right back. Old Butterfingers dropped the key.
Jonathan, you're a bad guy,
Oh, man, I like that one still. I like that one.
Jonathan's a bad yeet.
I like that one. I'm going Tierney and Cedric at fullback.
Same.
I'm going Gabriel and David Luiz,
I stopped the track because that's the one I'm going with. Now, David Luiz, former club. Obviously, it's not in Portugal, but is it as fairy tale thing with him?
Do you know what it is? Yeah, I just don't like Gabriel and Rob Holding. I think they're poor together, man. I would like to see Pablo marry with Gabriel, but I'm not going to play a partnership that's never played together in such a big game. Luiz and Gabriel seem solid together, so I leave that alone. Xhaka Ceballos is the midfield. Obviously, I ain't bringing El Neni nowhere near it. I'm playing...
Odegaard ran out before that, bro. The 10 position, because that's the tough one. Don't try to leave that till last. Odegaard.
All right, no, that's why I didn't say it, All right, let me tell you where I'm at with the 10.
Go on.
I don't know why, I would like it to be Odegaard, but I don't know if he's fit enough. I don't know. I don't know. I think that was his first game in, I'm sure it said Madrid. He's only played twice in 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, he's struggling in that regard.
I'm going Smith Rowe in the 10. I'm going Smith Rowe. I might play Odegaard on the weekend.
You see, what's for me? Actually, I went in my preview. I went Odegaard for this game purely because I actually was. I wish we could play 12 players because you can't drop Smith Rowe in it. But it's like, I would the immediate bias. If I was Arteta, I'm probably playing Smith Rowe. But it's like, I'm not being funny. Odegaard, you're from Madrid. You've only here for a bit. We bought you for these moments. Like you said, and I didn't even think about it. If he's not fit enough, then dead that. But surely, this is where we need you. This is where you make it. Last 32, this is what Madrid are surely watching. These are your time to make the world look around and go, why did Madrid loan you out considering their season? So it's for me, I want to play him. But again, I don't want to break things, especially if Lacazette starts, because you've got the Lacazette, you got the Smith Rowe and the Saka. But yeah, man, Smith Rowe's got the nod for you. So what, you went Xhaka, Ceballos, Smith Rowe?
Yeah, Saka on the right. I play Pepe on the left. Play Pepe, yeah. I mean, I like Martinelli. I like Martinelli, but he hasn't played for a little while. Pepe to me is in form right now. I want him to play, and I'm playing the big man through the middle, man. I'm playing the number 14 through the middle. If I'm him right now, I've just scored a hat trick. I'm on top of the world. I'm playing against Vertonghen and Otamendi, 30 odd years of age, lacking pace. That pitch in Rome is big. I remember Henry bullying up Roma back in the day on that pitch. I want Aubameyang through the middle. Lacazette's on the bench, Martinelli on the bench. As I said, I would listen. They know better than me. If I would like Odegaard to play, but I would probably just go for Smith Rowe. Just go for Smith Rowe because I'm going to get the work rate from him in case, our back's against the wall. I bring Odegaard on. He might be able to create something. And I'll probably play him against City. So, yeah, I'll play Aubameyang through the middle, Saka on the right, Smith Rowe and Pepe.
Yeah, man, and that's it for me. It's like from what you've said, it's not negative. It's risk averse. You play the players who are on form and not break it. The only thing that I would love Smith Rowe to start. The only thing I would probably be topsy turvy on is that 10 position. I think every other position is picked for me. If Bellerin can be dropped out for Cedric because Tierney's fit, I'm all for that. I share your opinion. I'm going with Aubameyang because you've got potentially Otamendi and Vertonghen. Aging defenders, Benfica play a high line. If you play to Aubameyang's strengths, I don't need to tell you what Aubameyang, Pepe and Saka potentially could do against that. And for me, I want to wrap this game up. Forgive me if I'm wrong. We're the away side. So can we get 2-3? Wrap this game up. Don't make things harder than it needs to be. Be ruthless. What are you saying for score prediction?
I'm going 2-0. I'm going 2-0. I mean, I don't know why, because with Arsenal, I'm never sure when I'm confident, but I just think we had a good result at the weekend. I believe Benfica drew at the weekend as well. They're not in form. Listen, the thing is, it will be a big game for them. We've got to understand they're a big football club. They're under pressure. If we can win 2 or 3-0, I would be very confident that the tie is almost over. Not completely, but I would be confident. I would hate us to draw 1-1 or something like that, and there's loads of pressure next week, and then the away goal for next week, and so I really hope we go there and attack them and try and knock them out. I think their confidence is even lower than ours, from what the fan was telling me.
Yeah. Too many of them are not confident. That's why I'm shook.
Yeah, but as I said, I still got to be careful. They're 3 points behind Porto, and Porto just beat Juventus, so there's danger there. But I'm going to go 2-0. I think. The only thing is, I'm not sure what team Mikel Arteta will pick. We're talking about our team. Even if Tierney plays left back, I can see him playing Bellerin at right back. Will he play Aubameyang left wing and force Lacazette back up front? They're the kind of things with Arteta. So that team selection an hour before, that's almost as big as the game starting. Because you just never know with this manager what he's going to do.
That's actually a good point. It's actually, I'm sure you see it on the live watch-alongs as well. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you don't know. But it's a massive game, bruv. I'm up for it. I'm excited for it. I know we've got a tough run of games, but I prefer these games. Man City, Leicester, Europa League knockout. This is where the excitement of the season is. But we've got to get through. I don't care how we get through. Just get through. You know what I mean? Just make sure we're in the next round.
Like you said, fam, just get through to the next round. I'm going to go 3-1 Arsenal. I think it's never perfect for us, so we'll concede. Something tells me we're going to score, man. Are you doing a watch-along later? I know already, but you should be able to just let people know.
100, man. I'll be going mad for this game. If we lose tonight, you might not want to see my tweets because they won't be pretty. But no, you know what? I'm confident we're going to win. I am. I'm feeling positive that all our attacking players are starting to play well, and that's why I think we'll beat them tonight. I don't think they'll live with us.
And that's what I hope to be, man. I hope we savage them. But like Curtis said, he's going to be online. I'll be online from 7:30. I haven't set it up, but it'll be there. If you're not watching me, watch Curtis. If you're not watching Curtis, watch me. Make sure you're hitting both the like buttons on both channels. As usual, make sure you subscribe to both our channels. Curtis's name of his channel's in the description of the video, or the title, better yet. So hit that up, man. And yeah, man, I'll be back on Curtis's channel. When do you want to be back on?
But we'll do next. What is it? Let's do the start of the week, maybe Monday, because obviously we'll have played City and Benfica. Then we'll have a lot to talk about, no doubt.
Yeah, so there you have it, people. We'll be back on Curtis's channel on Monday. Obviously, the time and those things, he'll brief you on that when the time
2 p.m. on Monday, 2 p.m. with it.
You already know. So 2 p.m. you'll see something, man. Just make sure you put that in the diary, people. Like I said, there's more content from us later. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please make sure you hit the like button. I'm aware that I missed the super chat and the screen is froze, so I can't bring it up. But thank you very much for that. Please don't think I've disrespected you. I appreciate that you've departed with your hard-earned money. But I'm going to get out of here. I'm actually very late for Rancy's show. So, yeah, I'm going to have to hold the L in that one. But we're out, people. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Curtis's thing. As I said, we're out.